welcome back to my channel. Glad you all are with me. So today is going to be my end of August monthly wrap-up. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the latter half of August. So let's get into it. I do want to start off this video just first by kind of saying it's been a while since I posted a video, and I know I haven't been posting them as frequently as I used to. I don't know. I'm trying to work on that, but I don't know for sure if that's going to get any better just right now, just because I have a lot of personal stuff going on in my life. There's a lot of things going on. It's been kind of crazy. I've had depression in the past, and I can kind of see myself slipping down that slope again right now. And I really I'm finding it really hard to find creativity, like feeling creative to try to think of video ideas. And then even if I have an idea, I am not finding any kind of motivation like whatsoever. And it's not just in this. It's hard for me to feel motivated about anything right now. So I have still been reading. So at the very least, I would still like to continue making these like wrap-up videos, just kind of like let you all know what I've been reading and a little bit about my opinions on those. And if I can find like motivation to make other types of videos, I will, but just be forewarned that it might be pretty infrequent, at least right now. And I'm sorry about that, but that's just kind of how things are in my life right now. Anyway, so moving on, let's get to the actual content for this video. I haven't actually counted yet how many books that I've read this month or in August. I think it was still a pretty good month, and we're just gonna start off at like what the books, like I said, latter half of August. This will usually be around like August 16th or so until the end of August. So let's get into those. So I did continue on reading the Fire Blood Dragon series, doing my basically reading like pretty much all of Ruby Dixon's books, at least the ones that are on audio. So I just did Fire in His Veins by Ruby Dixon. This is the 6th book in the Fire Blood Dragon series. This kind of takes place, kind of has characters from the prior book, which I did mention in my mid-month wrap-up for August. So if you're interested in that, go check out that video. But this is about Andrea, who is the best friend of the former mayor of Fort somewhere in Louisiana, Shreveport, I think it's Shreveport. And so they have this like community. There is a dragon guy that lives in their community, which they didn't actually know about, but now they do. And he has an interest in Andrea. He's always liked her, but she's kind of like, no, I don't want to be with you. And she has a little brother, but her little brother is like a teenager. I think he's like 13 or 14, and he's tired of doing what everybody tells him to do. He doesn't like living in Shreveport because he's like the only kid, well, at least his age anyway. Otherwise it's all adults or elderly or like really, really, really young kids. So he has nobody to talk to, nobody to relate to. So her little brother actually runs away to try to find other ports so that he can find like friends and other people his own age, and then not have to necessarily listen to his sister. So Andrea like freaks out, and nobody is able to go find him. So she decides she's gonna go out by herself, which then the dragon guy ends up saying like, no, you can't go here by yourself, it's too dangerous. So he helps her, and they go out to try to find her little brother. And then meantime, they kind of form a bond. They already kind of have a friendship. And then just kind of blossoms from there. I gave this one 3.5 stars. So most of my like Ruby Dixon reads, they're usually around the range of 3 stars, because they're all very enjoyable books, but they're not ones that like wow me. This one kind of put it a little bit over the edge for me. it does have some trigger warnings, especially like right now with the whole COVID pandemic, which I don't know where you're at in the world. In my area, it's steadily worsening, which is part of my whole mental state right now. So if you're it does feature like a illness, pandemic like plot, or at least a plot element. It doesn't incorporate the entirety of the plot, but there is something that takes place where a bunch of people end up getting sick, and it gets pretty emotional. And I don't know, part of me just appreciated that for some reason. I liked how Ruby Dixon wrote that, which kind of edged it out to give it that half star, so 3.5. So if you don't want to read anything about sicknesses or pandemic, plague, that kind of stuff, maybe skip this one for right now until you're, feeling like doing that. But yeah. Then I read Lap of Luxury, which is the second book in the Love Don't Cost a Thing duology, I think is what it is, by Brianna Hale. I give this one 3 stars. This one is about, so the first book, which I read in my first half of August wrap up, is about this guy, and he becomes a sugar daddy to this young girl to help her because she is being, what's the word I want to say? Oh, she is being threatened. That's the word that I'm trying to look for. Because she is being threatened by his brother. So this one is actually about the brother who is doing all the threatening. He is the big bad in the first one. So this is his point of view. He gets mad because his brother fell in love with this woman, and he's pissed off about that because he thinks it's a betrayal. And he decides he needs to go find his brother and this woman and kill them both because, 1, he didn't like her anyway and was already planning on killing her, and then 2, now that his brother's betrayed him, that's like it. He's done with him. So he needs to try to find them, and in order to do so, he ends up kidnapping his brother's secretary, who was kind of in on the whole sugar daddy, sugar baby kind of plan, was helping them out a little bit. So he thinks that his secretary will be able to help him find his brother. So this does feature like captive. This has some blood play in it. I gave this 3 stars. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the first book, unfortunately, but it was still good. Just kind of one of those those villains that you love to hate but you actually love kind of thing. But it was pretty good. And then the next 2 are going to be the last 2 books in the Fire Blood Dragon series that are on audiobook. I think there's 1 or 2 more books that is out that she's written, but they are not currently on audiobook, so I have not read them. So the next one is Fire in Her Eyes. I gave this 3 stars. I don't remember a ton about this one. I just remember that the dragon is actually one of the female dragons, and she is a little bit more lucid than some of the other, at least most of the other female dragons, and she thinks that this one guy that Andrea and whatever dragon guy's name is from the prior Fire Blood Dragon book that I read, they met him while they were out trying to find her brother, and he actually comes back to the fort to try to live, to kind of help everybody out. So it's their relationship and they form a bond, but like I said, that's really all I remember. I remember enjoying it, so that's why I gave it 3 stars, but that's that one. Then we have Fire in His Chaos. Sorry. All of these titles are so similar, and I'm getting them all mixed up. So this is about this girl, and she lives in Fort Dallas, so another fort, but it is currently run by this other race of dragons. I can't remember what that race is, but basically from all the prior books in this series, all of the dragon males hate this guy and this guy's race, because his whole race where they're actually from, enslaved the others, because he has like some sort of like psychological type of like powers that he's able to control them. So he is running Fort Dallas, and he started up this program, which the hero of the story doesn't know why this program was started up, but all she knows is that she gets a place to live, she gets food every day, and all she has to do is she walks out to kind of scavenge with like a bodyguard every day, but they're not allowed to go super far. She goes out and scavenge, and at the end of the day, she has to give her panties over, which is really weird, and she doesn't really know why she has to do that, but she's kind of like, I don't care, because I have the security, which I've never had before. So anyway, the bad dragon guy kind of started up this program because the scent of a woman can lure dragons who want a mate. And so that's what he's wanting to do. He wants more dragons so he can control them to try to fight off this bad thing that he says is coming. So she finds out because she is out like scavenging one day, and she comes across a dragon, and that is her mate. And things kind of happen from there. So I enjoyed this one. This is going to be, again, a 3-star one. This has some like disability representation in it from the woman, because she was, when like all the dragons came to Earth, she got attacked by a dragon, and she's missing, she doesn't have her hand, I think, and then she has a lot of other like scarring too. But anyway, so that was really good. I enjoyed that. And once the other audiobooks come out, I will definitely check those out and be reading them. Okay, and then I kind of got a little bit into like a fantasy kind of mood, fantasy romance type of mood. So I read Lucifer's Bride, which is the first book of a series, first book in the Married to the Devil series by Skye Wilson. I give this one 3 stars. This is about this woman who, at the very beginning of the story, she wakes up in Vegas with a strange man. Like, she and this strange man are naked in a bed, and he tells her that they got married, even though she is supposed to get married to some other guy, and she has no idea who this person is. And he starts telling her different things, and she finds out that this guy is Lucifer, which at first she's like doesn't believe him, but then she slowly starts to believe him as the more that he like tells her. And then you also kind of find out that they have this kind of like past lives kind of thing. They've like, she has all these past lives going back to like Adam and Eve, and in all the lives, like, they've been lovers, but something has always happened and she always dies, and then she gets like reincarnated or like something like that. It gave me there's like a Will Smith movie, like Will Smith and I can't remember the lady, maybe Charlize Theron, is it Hancock maybe? There's like a movie that kind of has similar or something or other going on with it. I give this 3 stars. This was all right. I did like, there was a lot of allusions and like references to Dante's Inferno, which I thought was really neat, but I don't know, I was wanting a little bit more from it, and I just wasn't getting that, so that's kind of why I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Dark King, which is another first book in a series by Court of the Sea Fae by C.N. Crawford. You'll kind of see a little bit of a theme that I just started all these series, and they were good, but not good enough for me to really want to continue on the series. I gave this one 3 stars. So this is about this woman who is a princess to a sea fae kingdom, but she is like in exile and kind of also like on the run because she is accused of killing her mother, who is the queen, and drowning her kingdom, which all those happened, but she wasn't the one to do it. So then, so at the start of this book, there are these people that are trying to find her, and she kind of gets captured by this one fae person who ends up being like a demigod, and he needs her because he thinks that she will be able to find, I think it's the Lost Kingdom or her mother, something, that she will be able to find one of those, and he needs her to help him do that, even though he thinks that she's a criminal and a terrible person. And they end up kind of having like a romance sort of happen. It has a lot of action to it, and she's a kind of like a snarky kind of character, so there is also some humor to it. It wasn't terrible, like I said, it just kind of wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So then I read Swedish Sin, which is the first book in the Bad Habit series by J.T. Gessinger. I'm probably butchering that last name. This is a rockstar romance. This features this woman. She is a professional like makeup artist, and she gets hired to do the makeup for this rock band's music video. But the female, that actress or whatever that they get hired to be in the video, ends up having to leave, not being able to do it, so they get her to do it. And the lead singer of the band starts to have like an infatuation with her, thinks she's really cool and attractive, and he wants to be in a relationship with her. And she doesn't want it at first, but he kind of dwindles her down, and so it's their romance. I gave this 3.5 stars. I did enjoy this. There is a lot of drama and angst to this book, so I wasn't really expecting that. And I kind of wish there was maybe a little bit less drama to it, and if there was, I might have bumped this up a little bit higher. There were some things that I also didn't really care about with the lead singer guy. He was keeping some secrets from her, and I just didn't really care for some of that. Like, some of their communication just felt kind of off, and I felt things would have gone a lot better had they had some better communication. So that's kind of why I give it 3.5 stars. Then I read A Deal with the Elf King by Elisa Kova. This is another one that's the first in a series. This is the first A Married to Magic series. I give this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one, but it is a YA fantasy. And I did not realize that when I went into this book. I thought this was going to be like an adult fantasy. I thought this was going to be a little bit more heavy on like the romance, and it wasn't. So that's kind of why it was only 4 stars. If this was an adult fantasy or a fantasy romance, this might have actually been 5 stars, but it was YA. And YA books just, they leave me hanging. I just want more from them. So this is about this world where every 100 years there is a human girl that gets chosen to become the wife to the elf king. So there's the human realm, and then there's the elf world or whatnot. And they, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, made this like alliance between each other to help kind of keep things in check, I guess. Keep magic like in balance. The elf king kind of helps the magic go from like the human realm, like when your spirit passes away, into like the realm of like the dead and whatnot. So there hasn't been one, and it's been past 100 years. I think it's been like 101, 102. It's been longer than it should have been. And our main character, our heroine, is a healer in the town, and she's just kind of like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen, it's probably not gonna be me. Well, then she is the one that actually ends up getting chosen to become the bride to the Elf King. And she's not so sure about it at first. You know, she's gonna do it because that's her duty, and she doesn't really have a say in it. But she doesn't really care for it because the Elf King is very cold and mean, and she doesn't really like him. But then she starts finding out that there's a lot of other stuff going on in the Elf Kingdom and then she has these like powers that she didn't know about. So she has to kind of try to use them to end up saving the Elf Kingdom and the human realm together. So like I said, I did really enjoy this. I just wish it was adult. That was my only complaint about it. And since it is YA, and like I said, it's the first in the series, I'm not really sure if I'm going to continue on the series. I know it's a series that you don't have to read the first one to read the next one. Like, I don't think the books like have any impact on the other. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so then the next one I read is going to be Playing for Keeps by Kendall Ryan. This is the first book in the Hot Jock series. I gave this 3 stars. This is about this girl who, her brother is a professional hockey player, and her brother's best friend is also a professional hockey player, and they're like all at like a party one night, and her and her brother's best friend are drunk, and they end up having a one-night stand. That's basically what happens in this book. It's kind of also why I gave it 3 stars. It was just kind of one of those things. I did enjoy it, but I feel like I've seen this trope so often, and I've seen it done better than this. Not that they did those tropes terribly in this book. I've read it done a lot better. So that's why it's only 3 stars. Then the next one that I read is going to be Beautifully Cruel. This is the first book in the Beautifully Cruel. I'm not sure if this is a duology or if this is a series, but I know there's at least one other book to this series. And this is also by J.T. Gessinger, something like that. I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one, and I need to read the second one. This is about this girl. She's in law school, I think, and she works at this diner, and for the past like several months there's been this mysterious guy that keeps coming in and sitting in her station and doesn't really talk to her, doesn't say anything, but he just like always sits there and seems like enamored by her, always stares at her, and she's like, I don't know who this guy is, but she's like very intrigued by him. Well, one night after, I can't remember if he actually comes in the diner or if it's after he leaves, she's like kind of cleaning up at the end of the night. She ends up taking trash outside to like the dumpster, and she gets attacked and like mugged, and like they might like kill her kind of attacked, and he shows up and saves her by killing those guys. And she kind of, I don't think she does find out, actually. He is like in the mafia, and he like alludes to that but never actually tells her. But he is just fascinated by her, and he is like, well, I don't want to get into a relationship with her because I'm not the relationship type of guy, and even if I were, it would be very dangerous for her to be in a relationship with me, so that just wouldn't work. But he can't seem to let her go, so he tells her, he's like, hey, I'm gonna make this deal with you. We'll be together for like a month, and you're gonna do everything that I tell you to, and we're gonna get out this sexual frustration. It's gonna be a great time, a great month, but then at the end of that, we're gonna go our separate ways, and you're never gonna see me again. And she's very hesitant at first. She's like, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if I want to do that. But again, he kind of wears her down because there is such sexual tension between the two characters. This was just, I don't know, it was really good. It was very steamy, and it was like a good, like a wild ride. I loved this one. It was so good. And like I said, I need to read the next one in the series because I think the next one is about his brother or something. So I think that could be really cool. Then I read Beautiful Sinner by Sarah Kate. This is a like priest romance. This is about this girl who is on vacation in Ireland, and she's very naive, and she ends up meeting this guy and like having like an insta love kind of thing, and thinks that they're going to keep traveling together, but then the guy ends up robbing her and taking all of her identification and her money and credit cards and her passport and leaving her stranded at this inn in Ireland. And she's like, I don't know what to do. So she ends up getting a job at that inn, and the inn owner's brother is the local priest, and he also kind of helps out at the inn, and he's sort of her boss and whatnot, and so they start to form a relationship. I gave this 4 stars. This is really good. I did kind of get a little bit annoyed because of the priest kind of like guy being like, it took him so long to get into the relationship, and even then, once they started to have like a sexual relationship, he still wasn't giving her his all into it, which, like I said, it was kind of frustrating, but at the same time, it made sense for his character, because I feel like a religious figure like that, if you don't have some reservations at first and some qualms about doing something like that, then obviously you weren't really in that profession. Like, you shouldn't be in that profession to begin with. But yeah, so that was it. Then I read Burn, which is the first book, and I think it's called Dark in You series, which I don't know, something about that series title just like messes with me. It doesn't sound quite right, but anyway. And this is by Suzanne Wright. This is a fantasy romance. This is about, it's kind of hard to say what this is about. This is about this girl, and she is a demon of some kind. This is the whole, all the characters in this world, they're all demons. And she ends up getting in this fight in Vegas, and she gets noticed by the guy that oversees like these type of fights, and he's a very powerful demon. And they find out that they are anchors toward each other, and they like can become anchors, and in doing so it helps to make both of them more powerful in their like demon type magic, but it also like stabilizes their magic, if I'm kind of understanding it correctly. So that's kind of what this one is about. There's also a lot of like political stuff going on too within like the demon like world and like hierarchies and whatnot. I gave this 3 stars. For the most part, I enjoyed this. I listened to this on audiobook, which I would not recommend because I feel like that lowered my rating for this. I think maybe if I had just like read it physically, maybe I would have given it a little bit higher, but the narrator for the audiobook, just, I don't know, there's something about her voice that I just didn't really care for. I had a hard time connecting with the characters, and just overall, like, my idea of like a demon fantasy romance demon type book is very different from how this author thought this out. Like, the way she describes it is that they are like a person, but they have a demon inside them, and like the demon is something else entirely. At least that's kind of how I got from it, and I just don't really like that. I would prefer, if you're gonna have a demon, like, that is them. They are a demon. They don't have, you know, other beings, because it was basically like they were a human with a demon inside them, but they were demons. Like, it was very, like, it was hard for my mind to wrap around that. So that's also why I didn't give it a higher rating. Okay, then the last one that I read for the month of August ended on a high note. I read Twisted Pride, which is the third book of the Kimora Chronicles series by Cora Riley. I read the first two books of this series back in like May, I think, May or June or something, whenever the Mafia romance readathon was going on. So I read the first two of that. I read those in audiobook, and then I was immediately going to read this one. But it was one of those things, kind of almost like the last one, where one of the narrators, the narrator for Remo, for the audiobook, was just, I just couldn't stand him. I did not like how he did Remo's character, so I just stopped. And so now I just was kind of like, I really I've kind of been in a mood also for like kind of like dark romance, kind of mafia-ish romance. So I was like, I'll pick this up and see how it goes. I give this 5 stars. I loved this book. This is about Remo, who is the capo of the Kimora. So the Kimora are the mob around Las Vegas area, and they have beef with the Familia and the outfit. So the outfit is in like Central America, like Mid-America, like Chicago kind of area. The Familia is in New York. So we don't get a whole lot of the Familia. They've kind of made a truce with the Familia, but they still have it out for the outfit. And they want to take, Remo especially wants to take the outfit down. So he has kind of decided, and it was kind of decided a little bit more in the prior book, but in this one, that he is going to kidnap the niece of the capo of the outfit. Her name is Serafina. She is set to get married, and he decides he's going to kidnap her on her wedding day, like when she's en route to the venue or whatever where they're going to get married, and he's going to take her, and that's going to be seen as a big thing, and he's going to get the capo there to do what he wants. But in doing so, he starts to really like this girl, and they end up forming a romance, and this was so good. Remo, again, is one of those characters, like, he's a villain, and it's one of those, if you see like people in the YouTube community doing like recommendation videos for like different romances, it's one of those where it's like, I hate everybody but you kind of romances, because he really does just like hate the world. The only people that he cares about are his brothers. He will literally like walk through fire for them. He would die for them. And then he starts to feel that way about Serafina. And it's just so great to see him fall in love. And I really like Serafina's character too, because I felt like she was such a strong feminine character, like female character, even though she is in like the mafia kind of society. Like, women are definitely inferior to men. They are told what to do. Like, she was in this arranged marriage, and Remo's kind of like, now you've got choices. Like, yes, you're still my captive, and I'm not going to let you go anywhere, but otherwise, you have choices. Like, you can choose to, you know, do these things. And I loved it so much. It was so good. I think the next one goes back to the brother, it starts with an N. I can't remember what his younger brother's name is. But he was featured, him and his wife were featured in the second book of the series. And I think the next one is about them again. And then you move on to his 2 other brothers. So there's like 4 brothers in this group, and then this other guy that's kind of like an honorary brother. So them, I don't know. I don't really care about their characters as much, so I don't know if I'll continue reading on, especially because I've heard this one is the best book of the series. So I'm kind of like, I don't really want to read more if I already read the best one. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, so those are all the books that I read in August, just finishing up the month. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Tell me what books that you all read in the month of August, if I can talk. Let me know so I can kind of check out more books. But anyway, like I said, thumbs up if you like this video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. And I will see you all later. Bye, guys.